Robin Williams, Buzz Aldrin, Terry Bradshaw, Drew Carey, Jim Carrey, Calvin Coolidge, for those of you who don't know, that's the 13th President of the United States, and Billy Joel. What do these all have in common? Mental illness. Matthew Quick, a New York Times best-selling author, said, "The problem with stigma around mental health in our society is the story that we tell ourselves. What is normal? That's the story we tell ourselves." Mental health is rarely talked about in our society, and in my experience, when it is talked about, people tread lightly in order to avoid conflict. I think this needs to stop. I'm going to talk to you today about a specific mental health or mental disorder called schizoaffective disorder. I have personal experience with this, and my mother has it. Today I'm going to talk to you about what schizoaffective disorder is, the personal effects of schizoaffective disorder, and the treatment of schizoaffective disorder. I'd like to start off by talking about what schizoaffective disorder is. Mayo Clinic posted a webpage article called Schizoaffective Disorder, and in this article, they defined it as this: a condition in which a person experiences a combination of schizophrenic symptoms such as hallucinations or delusions and mood disorder symptoms such as mania or depression. Schizoaffective disorder wasn't even proposed until 1933 and wasn't accepted as a true mental disorder until later into the mid 1900s. The National Alliance on Mental Illness said that patients are are often diagnosed incorrectly the first time around because the schizoaffective disorder shows symptoms of many different mental disorders and presents itself differently in each patient. The cause of schizoaffective disorder is unknown, but they think it is one of or a combination of the following four: genetics, stress, brain chemistry or structure, and drug use. They're learning more as technology develops. They think that they have a link to being able to scan the brain and being able to monitor the brain and figure out whether or not a person has schizoaffective disorder. Now that I've talked to you briefly about what schizoaffective disorder is, I'd like to talk to you about the personal effects that it has on one's life. Excuse me for not memorizing this list, it gets long. The symptoms, according to Mental Health America, says that the symptoms are being sad, fatigued, loss of interest in daily activities, indecisiveness, lack of concentration, sleeping or eating too little or too much, complaining of various physical symptoms, thoughts of death, suicide, sleeplessness, compulsive talking, being agitated and distractible, inflated self-importance, being susceptible to buying sprees, going from cheerful to irritable really fast, increased sexual advances, being susceptible to foolish investments, paranoia, rage, being apathetic, having emotional unresponsiveness, limited speech, confused thinking, hallucinations and delusions, strange behavior, and inappropriate emotional responses. As a result of these symptoms, obviously, it's going to make it hard for one to hold down a job. It makes it difficult for people to interact with everyone else in a day-to-day life. Living on your own is nearly impossible for patients with schizoaffective disorder, so you'll commonly see patients living with a large amount of family or living in group homes. You'll see that schizoaffective patients, if gone undiagnosed, will self-medicate either with alcohol or drugs of any kind, and ultimately it will probably lead to suicide. Now that I've briefly talked about the personal effects of schizoaffective disorder, I'd like to move on to the treatment of schizoaffective disorder. Treatment, according to the National Library of Medicine, can vary from the different kinds of medications they can prescribe to the type of psychotherapy that you get. They prescribe antipsychotics to help control the the delusions and the confused thinking that comes with the disorder. Mood stabilizers that helps with the mania and depression, the anger and anxiety. They have talk therapy and group therapy. Talk therapy is more of a one-on-one psychotherapy. It helps you with decisiveness and going through day-to-day life. And then your group therapy obviously is directed towards being able to communicate and operate within a group. Ultimately, out of the 4 sources that I used for this, the varying meds and the type of psychotherapy you get, they all are a little bit different just because they know so little about this disorder. Also, 2 of the 4 websites indicated that possibly they have linked having a regulated schedule and a good diet could help cope with this disorder. So we've talked about what schizoaffective disorder is, the effects that it has on your personal life, and the treatment options of schizoaffective disorder. I hope that I've given you a good knowledge base of what schizoaffective disorder is and the effects that it has on a person's life. Mental illness is more common than you think. In fact, 1 out of every 5 Americans has a mental disorder of some kind. My hope is that one day we can drop the stigma on mental disorders and handle the real issue. Thank you.